Welcome back to another episode of the Bird's Eye View podcast. Josh. Is not here with me today, but I'm just gonna get into the upcoming season predictions, and I'm just gonna start right off the bat with starting rotation. For me, lo- they have locks in rotation are gonna be Cole Irvin and Kyle Gibson. They just acquired these two guys, Cole Irvin from the A's and Kyle Gibson from the Phillies. Irvin had Irvin struggled last year a bit with a 3.98 ERA. Pitched a little. I mean, obviously on a bad team, not the best of teams. It's hard to work with being a pitcher on the A's, and with the lineup that they have, he still did okay for a pitcher on the A's. And no disrespect to A's fans, because we used to be in that scenario, but he did okay in the spot he was in. I think he is going to be a lock in the rotation, just because like they got him and uh, I mean, understandable. He used to be a reliever, so he could be relief. I understand like if some people think he's going to be a reliever. I honestly thought that at first, but then I did a bit more research. I think he likes being more of a starter. He feels more into the game, and I mean, he's putting up he's still putting up some numbers to prove it. Like he's not as bad as he was like in the past, like in 2020 or in 2019 in his first two seasons. 2021 was a solid season for him, but not good enough for him. I think he really saw himself improve in 2022, having that first time being below 300 point 400 mark, and I've being below the 400 mark. I really am excited to see him establish himself in the Orioles roster and uh just pitch lights out. Uh Kyle Gibson's another interesting guy. He is a behemoth, 6'6". Uh Struggled last year a bit with a 5.05 ERA and then before that 5.09, but for the Phillies at least in 2021. In 2021, for Rangers, he was lights out, 2.87 ERA. I'm positive that was when he was an All Star. Yeah, that's when he was an All Star. He has been an All Star in the past. I don't see him being an All Star in the future, but I can see him being a pitcher who has the caliber of being a second, third, fourth guy in the rotation and adding depth and getting innings. I think he's gonna be an innings guy because he can get like 180 innings in the season. That's very valuable. Like last season, he got 176 innings. For that, 158. He can eat those innings and get your team innings, and that's very valuable today. Um, and you don't see that often with pitchers, guys who can go in innings and be able to still pitch decently. Like I think he's going to be a good pitcher for them. I think there's definitely other options like a Chris Bassett they should have done, but not the worst offseason for the Orioles. Now we got some potentials, so I'm going to start off with great prospect for them, Grayson Rodriguez. Grayson Rodriguez, he he's a giant as well, 6'5", but uh very nice guy. I met him in person. He's very nice, but he's very confident about himself. But I can see him being a guy who can come up and show himself. Obviously, like in Bowie, he didn't last year. He didn't do well. Only I mean, one game, but in 2 games. Sorry, 2 games, and he didn't do well in those 2 games. But before, like that was after his injury. Before that injury, he was lights out. 2.2 ERA, 2.62 ERA, 1.5 ERA. 2.6, 2.3, 2.6, 1.4. And he can rack up strikeouts too. He can get like 120, 130 strikeouts in the season, honestly. He's going to be a guy that's going to be very valuable for the Orioles to maybe not eat innings because the most amount of innings he's ever pitched in a season is 103. I don't think he's going to be an innings guy at first. Maybe in the future he might move on to become an innings guy who can be valuable in that sort of way. But he's going to be a strikeout guy, help the Orioles in a sense where they don't have to worry about not getting strikeouts. Like he's going to be a guy who can get strikeouts for them, and that's very helpful in today's game. And uh, it's also going to be helpful because of all the new rules, new shifts, because you have to rely on your defense more now. If you get a hit off, if you get it like if someone hits off you, you have to rely on your defense much more now because there's no shifting. New pickoff rule, uh, new new bases like bigger bases. That's going to be a huge impact in the game, and I think Grayson is going to be able to adapt that as well as pitch block. I forgot at that, but I think Grayson's going to be one of the guys who can pitch through that because he has pitched. Because in the minors they have all those things there, and he's going to be one of those guys who um is one of the players in the Orioles who already knows how that feels and sees it and can pitch through that. Next I got DL Hall as a potential. Uh, I still think he's a lot of potential. Um, Change number 24 to honor Kobe Bryant. I just want to say that hasn't shown up anywhere else, like on Baseball Reference or any or MLB.com, but he did change his number. Uh, Not the best season from last year. Granted, he was a reliever and didn't get too many opportunities, only 11 games. He did get a save. It was a pretty nice save. He was lights out in that game. 5.93 ERA. Granted, he did not get that many opportunities. Still 23, still has raw talent. His curveball, his breaking ball used to be his best pitch. Kind of lost control of that over time and has moved into learning like a changeup and working on his seams. But I think he's going to be a guy who can eat some innings for them, like in the bullpen middle relief. Maybe potentially moving up to become a starter if they see that he's fine with that. Like, maybe they might watch his pitch count a bit, but I think he's a very interesting player, and I'm very interested in seeing what his future has to hold for him on in the Orioles organization. And I just I think he's a solid pitcher who I think is gonna have a breakout year next year. Next, I just want to add one more a quick picture I really like, and I think he's gonna have a breakout season. Nick Vespi, 4.10 ERA last year, so he was solid last year. It was a it was a he was starter and he relieved a bit. He got sent back down, got sent back up. He's up and down a bit, but he played 25 games with them. He got 5 wins, no losses, so 100% win loss rate. I got good ERA, 4.10. It's pretty solid, especially for your first season. In the MLB, he exceeded his rookie limits. Like people did not think he would be able to do this. Um, he got 28 strikeouts in 26 innings, so that's good ratio. Next, I don't have a lot to say about Nick Vespi, except the fact that I think he's going to be a good breakout player for them, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. Next, I got Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer, he was he was amazing last year. I just want to say that. Granted, he didn't have the he lost a decent amount of games, 7 games, eight wins, 7 losses, 3.23 ERA though. Um, sorry, 3.23 ERA. Played 22 games, 21 starts. So I remember seeing him. He came in like middle relief in one of those games, and he pitched pretty well in that game. Um, he's got a shutout. He's gonna be a guy for them who can eat some innings. Like last season was one of those first seasons where he got to play a lot. he got like 120, 120-ish innings. He's definitely going to be a guy who's going to eat some innings for them and like prove that he's able to do so and allow for the Orioles to be able to get down to like Dylan Tate, Ciano Perez, Felix Bautista, and like sevens in like the sixth inning or so. And like Brian Baker maybe potentially going to be a guy who can be a middle relief pitcher who can eat some innings for them as well. I'm excited to see this young Orioles team because last year they exceeded their limits with especially with pitching, and it's gonna be very interesting. Um, yeah, but Dean Kramer's I'm excited for him a lot. And then we next I have Kyle Bradish. Kyle Bradish, I think he's gonna be. I don't know if he's gonna be. Dean Kramer is more of a lock than him, in my opinion. Kyle Bradish is gonna be one of those guys. He's gonna be on the edge, honestly, in my opinion. He had an okay season for them. Not the best. I think he could have done better. Granted, it was his first season, and I think he could definitely improve, and I think he is going to have a better season moving on, but not awful. He pitched a decent amount of innings. And I think he's going to be a guy who can eat some innings for them. I think in the future he's gonna be like a 4.3 ERA guy, maybe like a 3.8 ERA guy, like in that area. I don't see him becoming a stud. Like I don't see him becoming a stud really. I'm sorry, like big fans of Kyle Bradish, but I don't see him becoming a stud. But I do see him being a pitcher who can eat some innings and get some strikeouts at the same time. And so I'm excited for to see what he has to offer for the Oriole organization. Next, I have Tyler Wells, who used to be a reliever. Closer. He was a reliever as well, but he used to be a closer for the Orioles. He was a closer at one point. He's a giant, 6'8" guy. He's ginormous. I've seen him in person. He's really tall. Um, Funny because his number is 68 too. But I think he's going to be a solid player for them. I don't think he's going to be in the rotation. I think he's going to be a reliever, and he's going to be a guy who can get some like strikeouts and eat some innings in relief. I think he's going to be like a low 4 ERA type of guy. Moving on, maybe a 3.8. I think he's going to be or 3.9. I think he's going to be one of those guys who can eat some innings as well. They're going to have a lot of guys who I think can eat some innings, but he's going to be a guy who can get. I don't think he's not much of a strikeout guy in my opinion, but he's gonna be a guy who he has decent control. He's okay control. Like his ratio is like 76 strikeouts, 28 walks. It's decent control, and so I think he's gonna be a guy who can just eat some innings for them. Um, but I think he really could be a decent reliever for them in the future, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for him. Because I really think he is a good pitcher. But we'll just have to wait and see. But next I have Austin Voth. Um, he was just signed through 2023 in a 1 year, $1.85 million deal. Um, he had a okay season. I think he had a 4.3 ERA, and I think that's gonna be roughly where he's standing, like a 3.3, 3.4 ERA next year. I think that's gonna be his roughly how he's gonna pitch. I don't think he's going to be a starter. He is not going to be a starter. I'm sorry, Voth fans. Sorry, former Nats fans who like Voth. I honestly don't think he will be a starter, but I think he will be a reliever who can pitch well for them. He's he doesn't pitch too many innings. He's gonna be. I mean, he gets some strikeouts. I don't honestly. He's one of my least favorite out of the Orioles, like contending for the rotation right now. But like I don't have much to say about him. But he was okay with the he was good with the Orioles, awful with the Nats, awful with the Nats. But I think since it's like a different ballpark, because like a whole new ballpark. I think he might be because he had a 3.04 ERA with the Orioles, 10.13 ERA with the Nats. I think he's going to be a pitcher who can maybe move on from that and be like a 4 ERA, maybe high threes, mid threes, and I think it's going to be maybe a solid reliever. He's not obviously not my favorite like choices out of all of these relievers for or pitchers to be in the starting rotation. Like I honestly think like DL Hall or Dean Kramer would be a better choice than him. I mean, not at this like opening day point DL Hall, but in the future because he has been hurt a bit. But I'm mainly just covering like what the opening day roster will look like. So next I know he's hurt right now, Tommy John, but John Means I mean he's obviously gonna have a chance to get into the rotation when he comes back. It's clear. Um it's clear to see that he's gonna come back and be able to pitch for them and be in the rotation at some point. I think he's going to be one of their I think he's going to be their ace honestly, like he has been in the past. I don't know if he's going to be as good as he was when he got the no-hitter and his All-Star season. I don't think he's going to be that good, but I think he will be the caliber that we see him like in like in, I think he's going to be the caliber of like maybe like mid three, like threes, low threes. He's gonna be like one of their better pitchers. Him, I think Cole Irvin might pitch pretty well. I think Dean Kramer's gonna have a good year next year. I think Dean Kramer's gonna go off, but obviously, John Means is gonna have a chance. Next I have um Bruce Zimmerman. I think he might be able to have an option. I'm pretty sure he's still in the last time I checked, he's still in the minors. I have seen him start some. I honestly don't think he's going to have a chance to be a starter. He was, oh, no, I'm not even going to say okay in 2021. He was mediocre in 2021. 2022, he was eh. Give me that. Okay, I'll just tell you, he was eh. And I think the only two wins he got were the two games I went to see him. So, I mean, I can't say, like, how bad he really is, but looking at his like I've looked at his stats before, they're not the best. He wasn't the best. He's not the best. I think he's worse than both for them. 73 innings, 49 strikeouts, 12 walks. I think he gave up a lot of homers too. I don't think he's gonna be a guy who can pitch a lot for them, who's going to be a guy who can like eat innings. I think he's just going to be a guy who can pitch like in a like in a scenario where they're getting blown out and they just need a pitcher to come in. Um, so now I'm just going to move on. I just got to move on to the projected opening day rotation. So at number one spot, I got Kyle Gibson start the season. John Means obviously will come back and fill one of their spots in the rotation, or maybe be a reliever if they don't think he can do it, or maybe they'll have six guys in the rotation. But this is my 5 guy opening day rotation. Number one, I have Kyle Gibson, and I think his ERA like next season is gonna be like 4.2, 4.3, maybe high threes. I think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna go back to his all-star caliber self, but I think he is going to have an okay season. But he's not going to be back to his Texas self, in 2021 or his Minnesota self in 2018, or even his 2015 Minnesota self. I don't think he's going to be back to any of those calibers, but I think he's going to be a solid pitcher for them, and potentially I think Irvin might take a spot at the number one spot. I'm still thinking like either between Gibson or Irvin is going to be the number one spot in the rotation. Um, but obviously, since I've been talking about Irvin, number two spot is Cole Irvin. Now, Cole Irvin, also a former Philly, then went to the A's, and now with the Baltimore Baby Birds. Um, I think he is going to be probably their number one guy for them. Honestly, I think he's going to be over Gibson. Maybe not to start the season, but he's going to be the number one guy at some point because I think he's going to have like low 4 or a high 3. He's going to definitely be their guy until Means comes back, and that's just what I think about that. When I think about that, I just see him being the number one guy because he's had some pretty solid seasons in the past, and I think he can have some. I think he's gonna have a good season this upcoming year. In the 3 spot, I got Dean Kramer. I really think he's gonna have an outbreak season. Um, he had a great season last year, 3.23 ERA, 22 games, 8.7 loss ratio. I think he's going to be a breakout player for them. Um, Obviously Grayson when he comes up, he's already coming up. He's going to be at spring training, number 85. Interesting number for him. I actually asked him what number he would prefer, and he says he prefers. He says he doesn't care what number they give him as long as he's in the majors. He said as long as in the majors, I don't care what they give me, and that just shows his ambition there. Um, but I think he's going to be a good pitcher for them. In the 4 spot, it's like bouncing between Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez. Grayson Rodriguez is probably going to start the 5 spot just because he's been injured, but I think later on he might move up to 4-3 potentially. But Kyle Bradish is going to be the 4 starting off. I think he's going to have like a 4.3 ERA moving into the season. He's going to eat some innings, get out like 100 something innings, 120, 30 innings. I think he's this okay, okay amount of strikeouts. I think it's gonna be more than he got last year. I think he's gonna do better than he did last year. I really think this is gonna be a decent season for him. Um, and then lastly, obviously we have Grayson Rodriguez, the man, the myth, Grayson Rodriguez, and I think he is going to be like pretty good for him. I think it's gonna be like a 3 ERA, maybe 4. I think it's gonna be like a low 3 ERA, maybe like a high 2. I think by the end of the season, maybe starting off he's gonna struggle, but then by All-Star break he's gonna find his groove and help the Orioles to a wild card season hopefully. Um, and moving on with this, I just want to share with you guys the projected opening day lineup. So at the number 1 spot, this is just opinion. I don't like don't get mad at me for my opinion, but my opinion. So number 1 spot, I got Cedric Mullins. Last year at 258 average, 16 home runs. He's obviously going to play center field with his raw athleticism. Great player. 34 stolen bases last season, and that's going to be huge for this upcoming season due to the change in base size. I think he's also going to get some more doubles. He got 32 last year. I think he's going to get more triples. He got 4 last year. I think with this decent team coming up, he's going to get some more at bats too. He's going to obviously get some more stolen bases, lower caught stealing. He's got caught stealing 10 times last year with 34 stolen bases. So I think he is going to be one of the guys who can amp. He's going to be one of those guys who can prove himself that he's worthy to. He's I mean he's already proven, but I think he's going to be their guy as he's has been. Obviously, I don't think he's going to go back to his 2021 uh, All Star Silver Slugger season. I don't think he's going to go back to that, but I think he is going to have a solid season, and I think he's going to be like bang 260, 270. Um, batting second, I got the catcher Adley Rushman. I'm just kidding. Adley Rushman. Um, Adley Stan Clutchman, the Flying Rushman from Portland, Oregon. He is going to be. He's just going to go off next year. I think he's going to go off next year. I think he's going to. I uh I think he's going to maybe not have the highest batting average. He's going to have like a two. I think he's going to have like 260, 270 like Mullins. I think he's going to get 20 something homers. Um, I think he's going to get a couple. I think he's going to get a lot of doubles like he did this year. Potentially more. He's definitely. I think he might get some stolen bases just because of his athleticism. I think he's going to be able to. He's not that fast, but he's got his athleticism to be able to get to the base in time and be able to dive. Um, I think he is going to have a high on base percentage. I think he's going to get on base a lot for the Orioles, and he's going to be their guy to get on base and to be able to uh be able to get on base. Like he already had a great season this past year. He's second in Rookie of the Year rankings, 12th in MVP rankings. I really think he's going to go off next year. Uh, but another guy, he's probably one of the most underrated players in baseball right now, and I think all Orioles fans can agree. Anthony Santander, Agua Blanca. He hit 240 but 33 home runs. Tony Taters is going to go off next year. I think he's going to have 30 plus home runs again. He's going to have like a 250 batting average. He's going to get some doubles for them, but he's going to be their guy who can drive in runs, get Adley and Seti home, get Jorge home if he gets on base in the 9 slot. He's going to be their guy to get people home. And the guy after him as well being Ryan Mountcastle. Now Mountie can also he might play a bit of DH and like if Adley has like a day off, Adley can also play first because Adley has been a first baseman. I don't know if I would trust Adley as much, but then we also have other first basemen potentially. Um, but right now I think Austin Santander should be DH, but the 4th spot Ryan Mountcastle, who hit 250 with 22 home runs. I think he's gonna have like a 260 batting average, hit like 25 home runs, 27. He's gonna be another guy for them who gets in runs, who dominates, and he's gonna be a guy who does not care if that outfield wall is still the left field wall, Baltimore is still there. He is just going to dominate that wall. He's going to hit it over constantly. He is going to be Ryan Mountcastle, Mountie. He's going to be Mountie. He's going to climb Mount Baltimore. In the 5 spot, I know people might not agree with this, but he is coming off his his rookie season per se. Gunnar Henderson. People might not agree with me putting him in this spot, but I really think he's too young to be able. I feel like he's not ready to be able to move up to above 4. 5 is still a good spot for him. I think he's going to play well for them. I think he's going to have like a 257 average, 260. Going to hit like 15, 20 homers. He's going to be another guy like Adley who's just like producing for them, and I think he's gonna have a lot. He's gonna have great play discipline, and I think he's. I was pretty harsh with that 260 average. I think he's gonna have above 300 average. Honestly, I think he's gonna have like 290, 270, 300 average. He's gonna get like 20 home runs. He is going to be their guy who has the plate discipline of all the team. He's going to be the guy with the plate discipline, and that's gonna show how well he does. And he's going to dominate out of all the other shortstops and third basemen and young shortstop and third basemen in the league. And I think people are gonna think of him as a household name. Obviously, he moved up the ranks to become one of baseball's top prospect, and I think he is going to keep defying odds and um, just proving himself. And at the sixth spot, another guy who has proven himself throughout the years, Austin Hayes. Uh, he's like a Spider-Man out there in left field. Very athletic. Uh, you can rob home runs. Obviously, not now with that left field wall because it's too high up. But he's going to be a guy with who is going to be able to hit like 260, 260, get like 17 home runs. But he's going to be a guy for them who I think he's going to get some stolen bases just because of the athleticism. I mean, he's not the fastest person, but he's got athleticism, so I think that's gonna allow him to be able to steal more bases. And the fact that the bases are bigger now. At the seventh spot, I have Austin. Sorry, not Austin Hayes. Sorry, Ramon Urias, Mr. Gold Glove, who's going to be moved from third base to second base. I know it's odd move because Gunnar is going to be playing third base and Hayes in left field. Urias is going to play second, and I think Urias obviously can play third, short, second. I think he's more suited for second as he's played that more recently than shortstop. And third base is, I think it makes more sense for Gunnar because Gunnar, Jorge Mateo obviously is perfect for shortstop, and Gunnar can't. I'm sorry, Gunnar. But Gunnar can't play second base. Really, it wasn't fair for the Orioles to put him at second base. He was making errors. It wasn't fair. I mean, he was still better than um uh he was still better than Rougned Odor at second. But I think Urias makes more sense because he has more experience playing second. Um, I think he's gonna be a guy who's like a 256 average, hit like 15 home runs. But he's gonna be a guy he's gonna be a guy for them who is their defense. He is going to be the man of defense for them as well as your Mateo. Those two guys are gonna control the defense of the Orioles. They're gonna be man the infield. They're gonna decide what happens, especially because they're in two very important positions at second shortstop, which are two positions that receive hits a lot in the infield. As well, I mean Gunnar in the hot corner. But moving on to a very young guy who I think is going to have a good year coming up, Kyle Stowers. Now, like they got a bunch of Kyles on the team now, but I think Kyle Stowers, um, slow season for him. He didn't get too many at bats, but I think he's gonna be a guy for them who can get on base. I think he's gonna have like a 250 average or so. Gonna get. I don't think he's gonna have like a great season. Maybe 10, 12, 13 home runs. I think he's gonna be a guy for them who can get on base. I think it's gonna be a guy who can get on base and I think he's gonna be a guy who can get. I honestly, because he's pretty athletic, I think he might be able to get some stolen bases with those new adjusted parts. And I think later in the season, a guy who I'm really excited about of all of the world's prospects on the minors. It's like one of my highly anticipated prospects of the Orioles in the minors right now. Colton Cowser. I honestly I think he is going to he's he's in Aberdeen right now. He may or may not be able to make his way up. He was going really fast up in the ranks though. Last year he went from he went from high single A to double A to triple A. He got injured a bit, had to get sent back down. Uh sorry, no. Sorry. He's in triple A now. He went from he went from high single A to double A to triple A in a really fast time period, and I really think he's going to be a guy for them who can produce on the who can produce for them and be a good leader and and be like a role model for the team. I mean, obviously he's still a young guy, but I think he's going to be a good option. He's going to be a good guy in the clubhouse. He's going to hit I think when it comes up when he gets his first full season, kind of like 20 home runs, 260 average, maybe honestly 270 average. And I think he's going to be very good for them in the future, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him. Um, Now another guy I'm really excited about for upcoming season because I think he's going to have another great year is Jorge Mateo. Jorge Mateo was absolutely stunning last year. He had 35 yeah, yeah, you got that right. 35 stolen bases. I think, I think he's going to have 40 or more stolen bases this upcoming season, just because of the higher stolen base, because of the bigger bases, and the new pickoff rule, where if you throw to a base in this two times in the same at bat. Third time you throw there, you have to get them out, or else the person gets to go move up a base. So I think that's going to be very helpful for Jorge Mateo. So I think it's going to get like 40 steals as well as Cedric Mullins as well. I think he's going to get a lot of steals. I think he's still going to be like a low batting average. Like he's going to be like 230 guy, but and like maybe 10, 13 homers, 10, 13 homers. But he's gonna be better than he's gonna be better than his Padres self and around that time. But I think he's gonna be a solid play for the Orioles, and I'm really excited to see what he has to bring us this upcoming season. I just want to add a good note before this ends. Cedric, Jorge, and Gunnar will have a significant amount of steals this upcoming season, like I said, because of the new size bases and the pickoff rule, like I explained earlier. And I think Hayes will also have a boost to this athleticism. Cedric last season had 34 stolen bases. Jorge had 35. Gunnar had one stolen base in the majors, but 22 stolen bases in the minors during the 2022 season. Um, Austin Hayes had 20 stolen bases. That's a low amount of steals, but two stolen bases. That's a low amount of steals, but he's very athletic, which may help him being able to um, maneuver. And I think Colton Cowser, if he's called up, will also have an advantage due to his raw speed and athleticism. He got 18 steals in the minors last year, and I really think this is going to be a good upcoming year. Um, I think the Orioles are going to be a contender for the wild card. Uh, I think they're going to be a good team, and I think I'm really excited um to see what they bring us. I think they're going to be a wild card, and I think Red Sox are going to be shaky again. Uh, I don't know about I don't know about uh I think the Blue Jays are going to do well. Just in the AL East, I'm talking about the AL East, but the Rays are going to do well. The Yankees are going to do well. So it's like a very hard division. But then now we have the ability to um play against other teams because we play against our division rivals less now. We play against every team in the MLB now at least once, and I think that's gonna be very helpful. Being able to get some easier matchups because the AL East is very difficult to play in. It's probably the hardest division. I mean, the NL East is also very hard, but I think the AL East is probably the hardest division traditionally, at least. I think the Orioles are gonna finish 88 and 74. I think the Orioles are gonna finish like 88 and 74. I think they're gonna have a wild card berth. I think they're gonna prove a lot of people wrong. I think a lot of people still think they're not gonna have a good upcoming season, but I think they're gonna prove a lot of people wrong and have a great upcoming season. And I'm very excited. Um, I ask you guys to subscribe to Bird's Eye View. Um, we try to upload podcasts weekly. We haven't been able to do this recently because we've been very busy. Like Pat's not here today because he's sick. Um, so I'm just doing this podcast for myself, like I did with the Stadium podcast episode. But I really am excited to share all my knowledge with you guys. And if any of you guys ever want to join us on the podcast, just comment down below, or uh just try to just contact us, and you can get on the podcast so we can discuss the Orioles, um and baseball in general. And I just want to say thank you for all your support. Just make sure to subscribe and like the video. Thank you all for listening. Bye bye.